When I first saw Rain on Your Parade, I'll admit, I was skeptical. The concept of playing as a cloud and having rain as a core mechanic to beat levels did appeal to me, but there was a lot of room for it to fail. I was worried it would be lackluster due to a lack of innovation or too much of it. Luckily, this is not the case. Rain on Your Parade is a surprisingly well-rounded and consistent title that constantly introduces new ideas throughout its fairly short duration. It's important to note that this game clearly takes inspiration from other titles in its fairly niche genre. The most obvious would be 2018's Donut County, which is a game where you play as a hole in the ground that swallows the earth. Much like how you swallow objects in Donut County, you use rain, snow, thunder, and tornadoes in Rain on Your Parade. Obviously, it's much more diverse in its mechanics, but both games feature self-contained sandbox-style levels with deliberate puzzle solving. If there are humans around, you probably need to rain on them. If there's a fire, you probably have to spread it. There are some levels with less obvious solutions on how to cause havoc, so luckily there's a checklist to guide you. Very reminiscent of Untitled Goose Game. One other game that clear inspiration is drawn from is What the Golf. What the Golf takes the core mechanic of golfing, which itself isn't very interesting, and remixes it with levels dedicated to other genres or specific games. Likewise, Rain on Your Parade takes the core concept of weather and goes rampant with it. Rain can be converted to oil to set fires or cyanide to poison people. You can use thunder to blow away umbrellas. Snow can be used to flip cars. Tornadoes can be used to acquire items. You don't have every type of weather from the start. Rather, you gain a new mechanic in each quarter of the game, which ensures that you will never get bored. Not every level is fantastic. Occasionally, there were duds that kinda hindered my enjoyment. That said, each and every one is an artistic design choice that pans out in one way or another because of how unique it is. There's a Metal Gear Solid level where you float around Shadow Moses. There's one where you play Breakout with a human being. There's a level where you start in a sitcom, one where you raise an army of the dead. Not one level is quite like another. The one issue with this is that when creating entirely different scenarios for each level, it can be hard to group them together to illustrate a linear narrative. It tries to make up for this by having the whole game be a fairy tale an old man tells to his grandson, but even with this lame cop-out, the story feels disjointed and underwhelming. Aside from the overarching story, the game doesn't have many standout issues. There are, however, a plethora of bugs in the visuals, audio, and gameplay. Sometimes snow won't show up when you use it. Fire won't spread unless you're really careful with your oil placement. There are sections of levels where music will just stop. On top of that, music doesn't transition into a loop. It kinda just pauses and then repeats itself. The bugs are agitating, but they never quite ruined my enjoyment of the game. Overall, Rain on Your Parade is a short and worthwhile experience. It has a lot of character, but not much of a story. It's consistent with its gameplay, but constantly introduces new ideas. Some levels don't quite live up to the quality of others, and there are some bugs you'll have to overlook, but I would certainly recommend this game to anyone looking for something more relaxed. 8 out of 10.